And Lakesh Veritas, everyone. Welcome to the Clubhouse event. Your energy, your health, be responsible and take action. So before we begin, I'd like to start by raising the vibration in this space that we're in now, calling for the highest possible vibration and calling for the truth to come forward into our discussion so that the truth can be seen, heard, and spoken, and that we all be in that frequency of truth, calling for the highest possible vibration. Now I'd like everyone to take a deep breath in. 3, 2, 1, and let it all out. And take another deep breath in, bringing in peace, joy, and gratitude. And exhale, releasing out all stress and worry, all that does not serve you. And Lakesh and Veritas, everyone, I call for the oneness and truth of the information shared by each and every one of us on this call, calling in that frequency of truth so that we can experience all that is the truth, as it is our purpose to bring forward the truth so that we can all benefit from this information shared with honor, respect, and gratitude. The greeting in Lakesh and Veritas is a declaration in which we are cleansing, clearing, and uplifting the space we're in now so that we can maintain a truthful, elevated, and enlightened discussion. It is a powerful declaration that brings clarity and a greater understanding for everyone. It is a way of clearing away that we tend to pick up and carry with us everyday life experiences. Those life experiences of disharmony that creates a frequency of panic and stress. Our words have power. So let's remember and decide to use our words carefully, using words of upliftment, encouragement, and enlightenment. By doing so will help us transform our spaces and places to its highest energetic frequency. And Lakesh and Veritas. Okay, so just a quick reminder, a recording of this Clubhouse event will be available on our YouTube channel and Lakesh Studios. So please remember to subscribe to keep up to date with any new content that is continuously being added, and such as other information of upcoming events, new programs, recipes, recommendations, and more. So just go to Lakesh Studios on the YouTube channel to locate us and subscribe. All right. So this venue, we're just gonna have an open platform to again review the current news and how it's affecting us as individuals and as a society. Although COVID-19 news is quieting a bit, there remains a stream of information on a resurgence of the virus and new lockdowns, particularly in China, with a recent article this month stating that China returns to lockdown with the reported worst COVID outbreak in 2 years. You know, how I'd like everyone to share, how is it in your area? I know here in Georgia, there are only a few people still wearing their masks, myself sometimes including, but I'll just take it off and then put it back on. But you'll see people wearing their mask and then the mask is underneath their chin, so they're not even wearing the mask. Any comments as far as what's going on in your area? All right, everyone is quiet.
In Lakesh Veritas, with honor, respect, and gratitude. This is Anahara.
Anahara, in Lakesh Veritas, honor, respect, and gratitude.
I am in southeast Louisiana at this time, and
Okay.
it's a pretty good mix depending on where you go. There are a lot of people wearing masks. I actually prefer to wear a mask because of the pollen,
Oh,
and
yeah.
just being around um, people that I'm unfamiliar with, and I just feel more comfortable wearing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I social distancing's a wonderful thing. So And as you mentioned, you see people wearing masks, but they're wearing them on their chin, or they're sneezing and they have the mask is like just below their nose. It's just it's interesting. It's an appeasement thing. So
Right,
yeah.
right,
So
right. Well,
that
I mean, I will say it kind of was, for some people, it's actually difficult for them to breathe using that mask. They've talked about that, not being able to get enough oxygen, and especially like older people who are suffering from respiratory issues. So
Yes, well, I agree 100% that when it is hot and the humidity is high and it's 75, 76 degrees and higher, it's difficult to breathe with, wearing a thick mask. So I would have to agree to that.
yeah, yeah. But I've seen like several podcasts and videos on how this pandemic was not as alarming as people made it out to be, as the media made it out to be. And that the comorbidities and the management pursued should, you should basically take into account the comorbidities, and you know what should be done if you should get sick, and going into the hospital, avoiding, for instance, I don't know if anyone's heard about the remdesivir. I always get the pronunciation of that particular drug. People who are admitted and end up going into the ICU have received remdesivir and have described effects on the kidneys that leads people into an intensive care unit, that then results in a fatality. And all this information can be researched for yourself, but they don't publicize it so much. I'm not sure if they're still using it as much, but a lot of people have been reporting problems as the potential cause for the mortality and of people who had caught COVID-19. And they're now releasing information on more alternative ways in order to treat this virus, saying that it's just like the common flu virus, if you will. So it's important that we be careful and understand and take ownership of our bodies and know what these drugs are doing. Taking an invested interest on finding out what what these drugs are, what they could potentially do if they want to give it to us by the traditional healthcare givers or providers. You can't be complacent when it comes to your own health and to the health of your loved ones. And the beauty today is that we can do our own research and look up the information for ourselves. So we also have the benefit of our own guidance. Kinesiology, our bodies will tell us whether something is good for it or not. We just need to learn to trust it. You can even be a surrogate for someone else, like someone who's disabled, your child, your pet, and ask questions for the benefit of that person or animal. And again, it's just a matter of practicing to trust yourself, and it's a very easy technique. I personally, I use it in the grocery store, and I use the pendulum method. And you don't have to like act all crazy, moving your body like you're seizing or convulsing. There are, however, some guidelines. Serenia, I saw you
Yes, and Lakesh and Veritas, I
sharing.
mentioned gratitude. I wanted to
I think
make
it's
a
very.
comment on a couple of things. You were talking about the remdesivir, and I know
Mm-hmm.
when when it first started, when COVID first started being diagnosed, so to speak, they were using the remdesivir in the hospital a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
some hospitals are still using it, not as much, but now they're using more of the oral. They're using it outpatient. They're just trying to get rid of their stock. It looks like because they bought up a lot. The government's bought up a lot of stock, a lot of the hospitals. So it's not a safe drug. It was never recommended from the international perspective based on information that was shared with the US, but the FDA approved it anyway. So people should be aware of that. This is a drug. I mean, you can ask your, as Delilah said, it's very important, even if you didn't have that knowledge, if it wasn't written down, to ask your guidance, your body, to, does it feel right? I mean, is this for your, does this something that sits right with you? Does it feel even like it's
Mm-hmm.
something that you should do, And yeah, that's, trust your intuition. We've been taught not to trust
Yes.
trust that we even have one, and many people are just very disconnected. And so I think with the work we're doing, it can help people to get reconnected to that. But always
Mm-hmm.
question. That's something that's very important. Don't just be compliant with what you're told. Um, Question, look it up, and and ask them questions. They will listen to you if you ask.
Right.
They may push back a little bit, but you have to be an advocate for whomever your loved ones are, for yourself first, and then to them.
Mm-hmm.
And there are alternatives to everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are guidelines, as you were saying, to follow when you're asking your body and you're doing the kinesiology work, until you get, and asking the same question, it will skew you. You should not keep asking the same question, in other words, until you get that desired response. Like, for instance, is this hot dog good for me? I really want this hot dog. Is this hot dog good for me? I really want this hot dog. Is this good for, and it's you're swaying no. Your body's telling you no, and then finally it'll finally say yes, because it'll just say, well, shoot, you know I gave you the answer. You don't want to listen. All right, fine then. Go ahead and, you know, hurt yourself. you know. And it's also important to know how to ask the question. If you ask the question, can I eat this hot dog? Well, the answer is yet. Yes, if you have the ability to chew the food. But a better question is this hot dog good for me? And if you continue to, again, ask the question, your body will just reject and say, okay, fine, and just give in, because it knows that you're not willing to accept the answer. And it's actually like a disrespect to your own guidance. So just be careful. If you're not going to follow it, then don't use it. But if you are going to follow it, listen and take its advice. And then by you practicing it over and over, you will gain the confidence in its use. So remember that, what you put into your body is what you get out of it. So if you eat junk food, you're going to get a junk body or a junky body, if that's such a word. If you eat food of a nutritional value, your body will function optimally. So, and that also goes with energy. If your field is bombarded with negative thoughts, eventually it'll manifest into some physical problem that usually takes a minute to manifest. So it's actually allowing you to shift and correct that frequency so that you don't have any physical problems. So that's a good thing, in that if there's a frequency from a mental standpoint through thoughts and feelings and emotions, you're given a chance to shift and correct it so you don't manifest into some physical issue. And then there's the supplements. There are some benefits to supplements, but as I described before, it's documented that only 40% of nutritional value comes from your supplements. What will assist in increasing that percent of absorption is using frequency water. At night, the emotional stress release frequency water, the SunSuitical. So that's why energy is so, so important. When you correct those thoughts, the energy behind that will shift everything in your life. give you the mental clarity to push forward into more successful circumstances in your life. And I'll just share, have you noticed in general terms, a lot of successful people tend to hold a frequency that attracts and it breeds more success. We've been so conditioned to failure, expecting the worst. And it's now time to stop thinking that way. I don't know about you, but I don't want to live remaining the last years of my life. I want to be in a happy, blissful environment, pain-free, living abundantly. Even having a companion of the similar frequency in alignment. So we can party together. I love to party. I used to party all the time.
I wanted to say something, Delilah, about you were talking about the supplements and that yeah, I think partially based on what's written is that a lot of the supplements that we take, um, in capsule forms and things like that, and our systems are not optimally functioning, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
it has to go through that, and it takes a long time to digest things. And so when you're mentioning about using the frequency waters, our bodies are 70% water at least, for most people,
Mm-hmm.
and for younger people it's even higher. um, and so the waters carry the memory and it carries a frequency, and so I could see how that would be aligned, with it more easily assimilated into our bodies, that our bodies are able to align with the energies of the waters because we're mostly water. So you can attune that to that frequency, the water that's in your body, attune
Mm-hmm.
to the frequency that is the elevated frequencies of the waters that of the sun cells. So, it's kind of like a tuning fork, right? You
Mm-hmm.
take it, or like the scales, a do re mi fa sol la ti do, you're attuned to that frequency of that you raise to that elevation, let's put it like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. You ever like drops of water when it coalesces together, it forms even a larger block of water, more water, more water. It's kind of similar to that. And then that, therefore, it'll then assimilate with the water in your body, that frequency and that energy that would carry out to your cells, signaling your cells into a frequency of alignment, whether it be physical or mental. And then the supportive products are actually very helpful in helping you to shift and maintain that energy or frequency, such as the DNA salts and the sacred woods, great tools to assist in the shift of the energy. Nutrition, the food, cultured veggies, kombucha, and kefir, working on that second brain in your gut. There's always that deep energy work, such as a property clearing and soul clearing those energies that we are bombarded by, that we cannot seem to get rid of, that we need assistance. The energy work is a great way to assist us in aligning our frequency to allow us to heal and release those discordant, incongruent frequencies that we don't want. Just as the energies that exist for our cell phones, our Wi-Fi, we can't see those. These are also frequencies that are affecting at the subatomic level, all about quantum physics. If you're interested in learning more about this form of energy, about energy work, I encourage you to check out our retreat. Our next retreat is in 2 weeks, Saturday, April 9th. It's only for 2 hours from 6 to 8 Eastern. And you can find it on enlikestudio2.com, enlikestudio4.com, or enlikestudio1.com. Any more comments? Anything to share? Anything's happened that you'd like to share with each other that can be helpful.
In Lakesh and Veritas, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, great. Um, so just thanks for all of the comments that everyone has shared. And with regards to what we were speaking of before, you know, with COVID making a comeback in China, I think it's very likely that we may experience something like that here again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now is a very critical time to prepare for that possibility and prepare in terms of there's so much research. We're 2 years in, and there's so much research that has been done that is still not talked about openly. But I can see where things have been questioned. There have been multiple studies on masks and how to wear them effectively, and if you're going to wear them, what mask do you wear, and all of that, and as well as alternatives like your vitamin D levels and zinc and all of that other thing. There have been so many studies done, and the information is there. So my hope is that if we enter, hopefully we won't, but if we enter back into that state, that we don't, have collective amnesia, and that we're able to, take a deep breath and go back and look at, where we were and what has been found. Um, so, here in Kansas, I'm not in Kansas, um, there really is no, you still see a few people walking through Costco with masks.
Karen, are you able to raise the volume on your device? I can hear you, but it's you're low. Is
Oh,
there a possibility?
I don't know. Okay, I'm sorry. Hold on one second.
Yeah, she's just talking to your. I don't know if you can lift your phone up and talk into that. It'll
Is that
probably
any
be
better?
better. Oh yeah, much better. Thank
Okay.
you, because you're
Okay.
giving some important information. Thank you.
Okay. I'm sorry. Do you need me to repeat something?
You can repeat a little bit. I heard I had to keep the phone up to my ear, but you can
Oh,
just
I'm so
do like a
sorry.
synopsis. Oh, it's okay.
Yeah. I was just saying that there's a lot of information that has been, a lot of research that has been done. So if we do approach a point where we have a serious resurgence, that we
Mm-hmm.
don't have collective amnesia, and that we're able to, you know, go back and look at the information on vitamin D, look at the research on mask wearing, and was it effective and was it not? And, there's a lot of political jockeying right now because, the liberals need people to get back out in society and engage so the economy can get going. But they
Mm-hmm.
scared everybody so good that there is a very strong minority that will, who's living like it is April 2020
Mm-hmm.
and not April 2022. And I think it's individual based on, you mentioned comorbidities, and everyone's an individual, but get the information. And I was saying here in Kansas, people really aren't wearing masks. You might see a few people here and there. I stopped wearing masks in stores about 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I wear them where I have to, in an Uber, on the plane, you know, but for the most part, I'm not. And people here are not. But we're mindful,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna, you know, intentionally get in the jet stream of
Yeah.
somebody's,
Right. Right.
breath. But I think we're moving to that place of more sure-footedness because we've had some experience navigating. And I think for those whose immune systems are fragile or who are immunocompromised, have comorbidities, this is an opportunity to really, you know, take a moment to gain knowledge and form some daily habits, because people know, they know what they're supposed to do. They just don't know how to do it. You
Uh-huh.
know, it's great to say, oh, we should do this and we should do this, but how do we get there? How do we get from a place of inaction to a place of purposeful action? And I think
Yeah.
that's the part that's really distressing right now, because people are flailing a bit, and if it becomes serious again, then we could see another unfortunate wave of deaths.
Yeah, I could see like the recommendations that they are making of, the vitamin D and so forth. And it's like, well, okay, so I do that. Which brand should I take? How much should I take? And that sort of thing. And so, that information is online, and you can then kind of research it and then start. The thing is that they'll, if you go to your healthcare professional, that's your PCP, that's in following traditional medicine, they'll say, well, I don't know, because it might interact with what I'm giving you and so forth, and then it actually makes the patient or the client fearful. So I I do recommend, if you're going to go that route with supplementation, um, then maybe find someone that is familiar with using supplements, or starting with those lower dose medications and then, or supplements, excuse me, and then, you can get blood work done if that's what makes you comfortable. But a very good route is to just take the nutritional route. Food, there's so much nutrients in the food, and our bodies have been developed and evolved in order to extract the nutrients that are needed with the food, the multiple nutrients that are seen in these different food products. So it's like, why not take benefit from that? So, thank you, Karen. There's just so much, but the thing is that when you do your research, you become more confident in your approach and how to help yourself. So, any other comments to share? I'd like to let everyone know that Lota will be on our next Clubhouse event joining us, and she will be sharing information on the importance of keeping an alkaline diet. She's actually helped many, many people, providing information on various food recommendations, which have been curative to not only herself, but to others. Helping people with many, many illnesses, ranging from like autoimmune support, immune support, and those people suffering from cancer. All her talks are very informative, and you always end up taking away some information from what she shares. So I encourage you to join the next Clubhouse meeting. And when I send the invites, I will post that on the invite, on the text invite, so people to remind you. But I believe the natural, whole, live food route is, to me, my personal take is that's the best route to take. And then energy, because one thing I have noticed is that during the pandemic, um there were alternatives that were being offered, but like, I'm not sure if it was vitamin D or C or one of those vitamins. They ran out of that. They stopped offering that, or maybe it was the ivermectin, but they ran out of the alternative product, or they shut it down because they didn't want people to access it. But I will tell you, the one thing they can't shut down or take away is through the work of energy. So just keep that in mind, as we move into the potential next phase, especially with our current issues um, with potential wars. We don't know what supplies are going to be shut down, if supplies are going to be shut down or reduced. We have to keep that in mind. Yes, Serenia.
Yes, I was gonna say also, Delilah, yeah, like having basic supplies, waters and things like
Mm-hmm.
beans, things that are easily accessible when the event emergencies occur, and also engaging in the practices. We have practices that assist with enhancing energy that are available on our Of the Sun website
Mm-hmm.
under practices. I think it's probably like maybe around the last page or so.
Mm-hmm.
It's about practices, and so it talks about giving Inlakesh and Veritas the oneness and the truth to the food, calling for highest possible vibration. Because right now we understand that the food is depleted, the soils are not what it used to be, and so all it's not as enhanced with vitamins and minerals as it should be. However, we can call it forth. We understand that everything has energy, and that we have the ability to call forth that which is desired. And so we can call forth additional vitamins, additional minerals. We can call forth
Mm-hmm.
additional rays from the sun to assist us to make the vitamin D that we need, even on kind of shady day, cloudy.
Mm-hmm.
So those practices are easily available, accessible to us. And that way, and they surely are looking to do more with enslavement, giving people misinformation, so that you won't be you won't be subject to the fear. Engage in those practices. That's a recommendation to hold your frequency and to elevate yourself above that. So go to the ofthesun.com and go to practices. It's closer to the end of where the videos and that are.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Knowledge is power. Thank you, Serenia. Educating ourselves is power. Just as you and Karen stated, if we know what we can do, we can help and support ourselves. That's great. See, is there anything else? Oh, I would like to invite everyone. We're going to be starting whole responsibility meditation sessions on Tuesdays and Thursdays in only 30 minutes. It's starting at 6 from 6 to 6:30 Eastern, and then 12:30 to 1 Eastern p.m. on Eastern, and 8 to 8:30 in the evening on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And it's a way to assist people in that in the meditative practice of a Ho'oponopono, kind of jumpstart your day and get into that habit, because doing whole responsibility is transformative. And you can go on the websites, and we're going to be sending out information and flyers regarding these sessions. Okay. Any other comments or questions? All right, everyone. Well, thank you for joining this Clubhouse event. Look forward to seeing you next week with honor, respect, and gratitude. And Lakesh Veritas.
In Lakesh and Veritas, honor, respect, and
I respect
gratitude.
and gratitude.
In Lakesh and Veritas with honor, respect, and gratitude.